Hello there. Welcome to Heart Explained Therapy, where I try to produce a video that could be helpful and beneficial in some way. One of the things I want to talk about is our infatuation of feeling comfortable and our infatuation with, I suppose, at the deepest level of just feeling significant and feeling loved by the world, and how we have to sort of internally do it to ourselves before we ever get it on the external world. Now, at the moment, you go through life, and I would say that the way that I see the world at the moment, lots of people fear the COVID situation. They fear losing lots of people because of COVID. There's lots of dramas going on, and you're just sort of unconsciously in this rat race trying to figure out your plan for life. Now, some people at the age of 45, 50 might actually think that they had some sort of control on their life. But what you actually see if you analyse a person's life is they were just reacting on basic fears. Even in their workplace, if you look back through the CV, how much of it is it just bodged together? How much was it just, the real reason was you was fed up, or you wanted more money and you changed and you got lucky and you had a break somewhere, or you've had a lot of bad luck and that's why your CV could look like an absolute car crash. And the truth is, we are just bumbling around, bumping into stuff and hoping that we land on our feet and hoping that we feel significant. And we don't really know anything about psychology. We don't know how the mind works. We don't know how our body interacts with substances properly, unless you happen to go down this course. And when you go down this course, you realise that it's not really been you walking there. Let's say if you're a personal assistant, you will probably fear health, or you did fear health at some point in your life, and you joined that sort of field for a reason, and now you've made a career out of it. And not just for that, there's people who are carers. Deep down there might be an unconscious feeling that you want to help people. There might be it's just an easy job that you earn the money for, and you earn the money to pay for your bills for your family, and that's enough for you. You've got no need for higher education, and all this stuff is just, the way I like to describe it as, you're the pinball machine and you get sprung out and you don't really know what you're going to hit, and occasionally you either fall through that middle sort of place into the abyss, and you have pain, suffering, mental health, you have a bad patch, you have a demotivated week, month, year. And then now and again you get hit and you get a little bit of luck, a little bit of momentum, you get into a relationship, you feel confident, you suddenly feel like you can achieve more, you get a certificate, you go to the gym, you do something, you're on the high of life, and you're bouncing between the two 500s and everything's magical. Is there any way that we can sort of become the pinball that knows where we're going to go? That's the big question. Well, first of all, you've got to go back to what I said at the start of this video, that you're actually just programmed to feel and want significance. Your egoic mind wants you to always feel safe, comfortable, and basically it's in love with you with an ugly love, which will actually be detrimental to your whole life if you're not careful. This is cockiness, arrogance, the fact that you tell people your opinions and you know what you're talking about, and trying to pass a message on to somebody else, a belief system. Now, on the deeper level, we see that what actually happens is that you find something that makes you feel comfortable, the egoic mind does at least, and you'll hang on to this for dear life. This could be, a relationship that is technically wrong, but your ego says, well, the you without this relationship suffers. You fear loneliness, so it's not worth chancing for, it's not worth rolling the dice for anything higher. So we have a fear of actually changing anything, even though we're uncomfortable, which is a mad concept for the human mind, really, isn't it? You won't roll a dice in fear of getting a 1, even though you're only a 3. And you won't have any hope and faith that you can get a 4, 5 or 6. Now, how can we, or how can I tell you that there's a place that exists where you roll a 6 every single time, regardless of the outside world, regardless of this egoic mind that is clinging on for dear life? Well, this is where you have to do a lot of inner work. This place exists if you realise that the reality that you believe that you exist in is actually not as real as you think it is. That's to say that the objects at the moment seem to be very real. The human relationships are very real, but everything can easily change with an incredible power of learning some education and knowledge that makes you experience a new alternative reality, wakes you up in a sense, the awakening as spirituality would call it, to a place of existence where it can actually seem quite magical. And the magic comes from really being open-minded to imagination creating most of the world that you exist in. The imagination creates your response to the individual experience that you have. So God consciousness or law of attraction or religion or faith or being an atheist or being science is my God and science is technically true and I'm just going to have this one-minded scientific ideology is actually bad for you, because the world where you truly exist is just in the imagination that your reality is only an imaginative state of process. It is merely in that place that you create the story that you want. Now, how does this get you a different life? Because let's face it, there's no point doing this unless this gets you a different life. Well, to me, the whole point is not the different life. The different life is a story. The internal life can change without the need, for once in your life, of actually giving a shit about significance and love and spirituality. You can let all this go and realise, wow, I am just a magical creation. I'm a 1 in a zillion, trillion, billion opportunity to go and do whatever I want. Now, this is kind of a dangerous place as well, because you have morals and values and they don't really matter, as in you can be really, really naughty and use all this skill and intelligence to basically, I would say, manipulate the world around you. That is the, want, desire, attachment, the dark side of life. Or you can accept that dark side of life as, again, a unique, different story, and you can propel to love. Now, the great thing about this feeling, this place, this experience that is pure illusionary, it's the imagination, the creativity, it's that magical that it makes you only desire in a singular cause, that you are no longer really important. Your any importance that you had died a long time ago with the spirit and the ego. And this true process of evolution, the process of creativity, consciousness, acting through you and giving you the opportunity to do whatever you want with it, actually produces the the sort of subjective experience of actually giving a shit for somebody else higher up than you for the first time ever. Now, another thing that it does is makes you want to survive in the environment that you're in. And it goes back to, again, this perfect human process that can do and achieve whatever he wants and can be actually the mastermind of a great experience. Not outside in the external world doesn't mean that you would ever require designer stuff, spending money. It wouldn't require anything man-made or conceptual. Love wouldn't be important anymore. Now that sounds like a very dark image. Why would love not be important at this point? Well, you realise that there's even a higher grace than the feeling of love. It is this, for the first time ever, this pure compassion that lots of people that you view in the world are actually suffering. They're suffering with the egoic mind. They're suffering stuck in spirituality. They're stuck attached to stories because they will never go into their pain or the insanity that they think that pain will lead them into. And all it leads you into is the incredible creativity and imagination of your mind to actually help somebody else before helping yourself. That is it. That's all that exists there. And the paradoxical perspective of this is, of course, you are technically healing and helping yourself in every action that you do. So the collective universe is only collective when this transaction actually interacts with you. The love transaction that you have cannot ever be connected to a collective unit unless that person happens to have the same exact wavelength, frequency, vibration of energy that you do. And the great news is, in this creative, imaginative world, you no longer care. It's not of any relevance to you other than becoming the role model that you constantly aspire to show someone the way, rather than telling them to follow. Very deep, very hard to get your head round, but it just seems to make so much sense. And it's not that love isn't bad, but love is the complete reflection of evil. Love doesn't manifest unless evil is present. Evil doesn't manifest unless love is present. Regardless of that, if we can become like the state of consciousness, the consciousness is only trying to propel its imagination into the world. Then when you see that, you can see the actual place where no suffering ever exists is in the world of creativity, imagination, the true evolutionary process of life.